we are welcome everyone today on Wednesday afternoon to talk a bit about how to detect and how to prevent fraud during player onboarding in this year, 2023. Today, SBC is hosting us, and the webinar is powered by ID Now. These guys are doing one of the best service in terms of identity of the proving identity. And for now, we see that the growth of global gaming market shows no signs of slowing. With opportunity comes increased competition and big pressure of the regulators and an increased number of fraudsters. Today, we will cover some of the latest fraud techniques that are being used in gaming sector, including facial recognition, spoofing methods, and synthetic document fraud. You will learn today how to detect and how to protect your operations against these forms of fraud, especially during the player's onboarding process. And today we have Lovro Person. He is director of the product in ID Now, and we also have Roger Redfrim Tijik. He's VP of Gaming in ID Now, and I think we should start with some questions addressed to Roger. Roger, hi.
Hi, good to meet you all, and hope you're doing well.
Yeah, Roger. So we see that there are a lot of new forms of fraud, and we see that everything is increasing in terms of different attacks to our gaming sector. And how can you detect and prevent this during the player onboarding?
Yes, I mean, first of all, we have to obviously look at, really what is the aim of the fraudsters, and you have to put yourself into their shoes really, and what they're aiming at. And if you look at pretty much every market across now, obviously in Europe less because there's a lot more regulation around, an example, bonuses, what you can get as a new player signing up. However, if you look at markets, an example as the United States of America, whether that's Canada or also a lot of countries in South America, such as an example, Brazil, Peru, or Colombia, that there is many different things that you can do in order to gain advantage, or obviously gain malicious advantage, that is, and get free money from operators. So you have different things, as I just mentioned. Bonus abuse is obviously still a very high. However, it's getting less and less because the technology that suppliers are providing is getting better and better. So if you look at an example, the bonus abuse, there is many different things you can do in order to prevent it. Device fingerprinting is obviously one of them, or I would say the main thing that you can do here, because fraudsters would, an example, set up many different accounts in one name. Well, obviously, different names. So it just depends. I think, one of the things that we have seen personally is that fraudsters use the same document and just start changing the name in a document. However, we have many ways of detecting this, and Lovro will get into this later on, how we can detect certain things, because we can see that this face is reoccurring, and that we can, an example, also see that the document has been tampered with. Like an example, the name has been changed, or the date of birth has been changed, the MAZ has been changed, etc. So we can detect it. Then you have other ways of obviously fraud, or where people just want to, an example, gain an advantage at, an example, a blackjack game, or whether that's a poker game, where they want to gain advantage by having multiple accounts play at one table, and gain obviously against the dealer, or also to launder money when you play a classic poker game, or also to be fraudulent against other players. So there is many different things, as I just mentioned. There is your bonus abuse, where someone gains as much bonus as possible, and to go through it and to gain an advantage there. There is also gnoming and chip dumping, as I just said, so-called, where you can gain advantage against other players at poker tables or also against the dealer at a blackjack table. And there is the possibility of money laundering, of course, as well, where you can just dump money in for one account to actually win all the money, an account that might have been set up with an actual real person, and that is perfectly fine, and for them to win all the money at certain games. So yeah, there is many different vectors, but now that technology is rising, there is a lot more that we can do. We can, as I just said, there is many different ways how you can monitor the signups, and how you actually onboard the players. You can check the device fingerprinting. You can check the behavior of certain emails, of IP addresses, so you can do risk assessments on the email. You can see if they've just been newly signed up. An example, you can also really analyze their phone number if you're asking for a phone number for any weird activities, whether that's that the SIM was only put into the phone 2 minutes ago, or if that number was set up only 5 minutes ago, etc. And through all those data points, you can then really make a decision, and that decision is then made by the operator itself, where we provide them with the tools and they provide us with what their KPIs are, what they really want to see, what their measures are, in order to fight against fraud. So that's just a few examples there. What kind of fraud is ongoing? We've seen pretty much all of it. It's still very active. I would say it's a lot more active when new markets open, because fraudsters really target those markets because they become open, or if it's an example, gray markets or whatever it is. So we see a lot of that, and it's still heavily ongoing.
And I have more personal question. I was doing some gambling operations some years ago, and could you evaluate how many really professional frauders on the market, and how many individuals who are just trying to abuse the sports book or casino just because they think that it is easy thing to do? So do you feel the pressure of the syndicates in your job, who are running it globally in different countries but doing the same stuff?
I mean, of course, we feel it. I think Lovro would be better to answer this question, because he sees it on a daily basis. He sees what the fraudsters do. He has also great connections in the anti-fraud community globally as well, and through his background. But yes, of course, we see it. We see it on a daily. We see it on a weekly. We see it on a monthly basis. And maybe over to you, Lovro, to
mostly. I mean, mostly the professional fraudsters, as you call them, Pavel. There are very few which are seeding millions and millions of attacks, or millions of fraudulent accounts, whether it's a gambling, whether it's a fintech, whether it's a banking, or whatever is wherever the client in whatever niche is. Mm. So most of the gamers are bona fide persons that went to lose, spend, whatever you want to call it, or gain some money. But there are few, relatively few, I cannot say percentage, will be inventing it. There are relatively few that are malicious. However, we can say that what we see today is that most of the, let's say, geographically, attacks are coming mostly from the African countries, and mostly from the Francophone Africa.
Mm-hmm. And how are they prepared? Do they have good fake documents? And how do you work with these fake documents to ensure proper identity verification?
I mean, the good fake documents is any counterfeit or fraudulent document that is not detected. This is a good one. However, is complex or simple it is, this is a good fake document. we also have to understand at first place, internet is full of machine learning, artificial intelligence. We are all claiming this and that, but the best machine learning machine and best detector is our own eye. So what computer is seeing and what person is seeing is not always the same thing. Okay, so this is the first distinction. When we talk about common document fraud, we can talk about two principal traditional, let's say, niche on there. This is the counterfeited documents and fraudulent documents. They are not only legally different, but they are also different in their nature. Counterfeit documents will be any document that is not issued by authorized issuing authority, which means that is complete, what we colloquially call complete fake. Okay, so everything is done from scratch, but it's a physical document. And then we will have a fraudulent document, which is the modified document. Modified document can be biometric data, can be biographic data, can be any part of the document in order to spoof the system. After that, the most dangerous class that we are seeing, that we are not seeing a lot, luckily, are the fraudulently obtained documents. So basically what is happening here, this is the old story about the chicken and the egg, what was before. So when you are obtaining your passport ID or driving license, okay, you will have to bring some breeder documents. A breeder document can be any birth certificate or whatever the local authority or the country require you to issue the document. So these documents are in 99.99% not protected with anything, or they have a funny hologram somewhere. Once you frauded the biographic data, okay, the only thing you have to attach your own photo. You have a fraudulent document, basically, because it's wrong biographic data, but it's impenetrable and undetectable, okay, because it's authentic. In reality, it's authentic. Then what we see lately, and this is where I will say the money laundering or money muling is very one of the common types of the fraud, is using the genuine documents and the genuine document holder, okay, that we're basically trying to open the thousands of accounts with a genuine document and a genuine face that belongs to that particular document. But the things are coming from the same device or from the same silo of devices. Okay, so this is what Roger was saying, device fingerprinting and stuff like this is very important as a measure of detection, because document as such is undetectable because it's genuine, but you can say by adequate tools and adequate defense systems that something is really, really wrong with this transaction. And on the end, you have a genuine document and an impostor. This is the guy who is similar to the biometric photo on the document, and it's fairly easily detectable with quality automated solutions for identity verification. Where we are talking simple biometric check one-on-one. Will normally be sufficient. Where is the problem? Problem is that humans are less. I mean, machines are much better to detect this type of fraud than the humans themselves. Okay, so this will be more or less the whole type of documents. What I will talk later on a little bit, which will be synthetic fraud, what we call synthetic documents. Okay, these are basically they will fit into the category of counterfeits. Okay, because they were never issued by the issuing authority, but there the problem is that they were never a document. Okay, it's a template image of a document that somebody can personalize in the Photoshop or whatever and attack the system with it. So for me, that will be it. The most of the documents are counterfeited documents as of today, and the next in the number will be 50% will be counterfeited documents, 30% more or less in our production flow will be the fraudulent documents. where predominantly will be very simple modifications, okay? Like changing the filler into K in the machine readable zone of a document. It's if you do it well, it's almost not detectable. Okay, it's almost not detectable, and you are not modifying, for example, the checksums in the machine readable zones, because the K and the filler has the same value when you are calculating the checksums, which will be 0. And that there are some kind of tricks like this that our frosters are using, trying to spoof our systems, talking only about documents.
Okay. So I'm just trying to imagine. We have really a lot of countries, and each of these countries, they have a huge number of the documents. They have local passport, they have ID cards, they have all these driving licenses, and the first question would be, what do you think is the most risky document if we are taking the average country? Would it be driving license, or would it be ID card, or the local passport?
From experience, I mean, again, depending on the use case. Okay, depending on the use case, if you have a French driving license and trying to open a gambling account, it will not pass, because it's not the identity document per se. But if you have a UK driving license and you are trying to open the UK account for gambling, then this will be the risky document. That's from one hand, and from the other hand, it depends a lot on document construction. Okay. Which means documents like Greek ID card, like Italian old Garibaldi ID card, like old French ID card. These are Brazilian. The Brazilian documents. It's to shoot yourself in the head until you start learning to detect it in an automated way. But again, for me, it's combination of a quality of a document and the use case that this document is used in. However, from experience, the driving licenses are the worst documents. Then it's coming ID cards, because they are normally conceived to be used nationally, with the exception of EU, CARICOM, and eventually GCC countries. And coming back, the passports will be more protected documents than anything. Of course, if you're not talking about Indian passport or similar things. So you said about the number of documents that are there. First of all, we have a dedicated team, okay, that is mixed team composed of ex-police officers, or until yesterday police officers. Some of them are worked in Frontex, some of them worked in a border. Some of them with us is now the head of Interpol document fraud. She just retired few months ago, 6 months ago. So we fetched her for us, because we think it's important to bring this type of knowledge. We work closely with law enforcement agencies around the world, providing training and learning from them. Latest one was in like 2 weeks ago in Republic of Macedonia. We have scheduled 2 more. We also give training and, again, receive knowledge from our customers, especially, I will not name them because some of them don't like to be named, but we have lately 2 big telcos and 1 online bank that we have this exchange of things. So we are managing, and there's also some interesting and good internet reference systems, okay, where we also pick the new documents that are coming out and stuff like this. So this will be the mixture of various elements that gives us the good position and a good knowledge about new documents, old documents, and about the protective measures.
Yeah, and just to maybe just to add to this from my side, I think when we talk also about, let's say, fraud in documents, I think, as you can hear, is machine learning and also artificial intelligence can be as good as it is. However, without the human input and without the human let's say, collaboration that we have here, it's would be impossible to detect all those kinds of fraud. So
yeah, I mean, you have to have an expert that will tell machine
Correct.
what to look for, and then you have quality engineers or quality PhD or PhD aspirants that are then developing this in the machine learning and the neural networks. I mean, the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and last few years, maybe I see that more and more companies are trying to use a different facial recognition, because when a player on a gambling website is trying to sign up, not the pack of the documents is signing up, but this is actual player. And for me, I expect that it would be harder to sharp player to proceed through these facial recognition tools. And how it's possible to go through it with a fake face, or what to fake? What to fake?
Yeah, first, first we really need to understand that all this type of dematerialized document verification, or how it's called in the police world, machine-assisted document verification or identity verification, there is no magic wand, there is no magic solution, there is no magic thing. If you go and look to the thing, we know we have to look at it as an onion, okay? As an onion, it's layer after layer after layer after layer. One of the main layers that we are using to detect identity fraud, of course, is biometric checks. Okay, we don't work on 1 to N, we work 1-on-1. Okay, it's not a ABIS or AFI system as the countries are having it, but it has to be supported with various other things. One we talked already, which is the document verification, and the second one will be various types of external signals that are not directly related neither to biographic, neither to biometric verification. Coming back to your question, because I went somewhere and you asked me something else. We have a old-fashioned attack, okay, which will be the passive or direct attack, where basically the attacker doesn't need to have big knowledge of IT industry, neither has to be a big connoisseur of the documents. So basically, we will use the printed 2D masks or printed 3D masks, which will take a photo, substitute the photo on the document, and try to spoof the systems. These are the traditional methods that are not working anymore. However, there are we see new tendencies where there are the software that I will not name, so people don't play and try to test me. So basically, where you have 2 mobile phones or 2 tablets, the guy is looking at the one and it's presenting the image modified with the artificial intelligence software to an agent that can spoof easily the systems. But there are the indicators how this can be detected. Next part of the attacks are the active attacks. Okay, this is now the serious type of attack. Maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, there was a very big hype about photomorphing. Okay, so basically you are having the one face and you are having another face, and then you're merging them into one. Mostly this is referred to static photos. There was a lot of articles about the German passports that were defrauded that way. Today we have the fairly similar situation, but it's coming more to the video because the computer power, the knowledge, the software is developing that allows the attackers to do so. So basically what will be here, let's say, attack vector will be somewhere between sensor, meaning the camera or whatever the sensor is of the mobile phone, computer, or the tablet. And then on the other side, the application itself, that is doing identity verification. What will happen somewhere in this trajectory of the video you're capturing, that somebody will hijack the session and insert the video into the stream and try to fool whether it's an agent or the automated product. We really don't have time to go into details, but basically you need to have an access to the root of the mobile telephone or the device that you are trying to do in order to install, for example, Frida software into the smartphone to be able to inject. There is let's say another interesting thing that you have to know, especially when you have a, let's say, automated or not agent assisted identity verification. You will have to know the challenges that the software or the agent is asking you in order to do so, because you will have to put a hand like this, then will ask you to do this, then will ask you to sing or whatever in order to do so. Okay, so basically, once the attacker learns and try to do 3 or 4 identification, if you don't change them to the random ones, so basically it will be able to insert the video that will fool the automated system, and in most of the cases it will fool the agent also, if not trained and stuff like this. So what are the, let's say, estimations on a successful or attacks that are successful? For the what we call a deep fake, okay, with a static image, possibly they are between 5 and 10% can be fooled. But morphing videos in the high quality and the conditions which are met, okay, conditions that are met, I'm saying again, access to the root device, installing everything, jailbreaking it and stuff like this, can be up to 20% of the spoofing the biometric system. So this is what I'm saying. Biometric system by itself will not help you. Document verification system will not help you. I mean, it will solve the part of the problems, but it will not go to integral part of the problem. Integral part of the problem is defensive layers, the onion defense, call it how you want, where you have to do. There are new ways of liveness detection also that are coming. I mean, not new, but there are some that are more developed and some that are less developed. We have this classic liveness detection that we are seeing in the most of the, when you move your hand or move your eyes, but there are also things like pupils dilatation when you have to. This is the new type of things, and detection of the textures on the face that are, depending on a vendor, more or less successful. We are having also 3D cameras that are used, but 3D cameras are not so much in the circulation out there for the regular gambling or a banking company, so we cannot go there.
And which type of fraud is the most expensive for bad customers? Because for me it looks very difficult to produce all these fake face with AI.
It is very difficult.
Bonuses. For me, this is reasonable to do on the banking website or the payment system or something like that.
I mean, also it's money muling is a typical thing to do. Why? Because you can create a huge number of accounts. You can create huge number of synthetic identities, let's say with the synthetic documents and the morphed face, and attack the system that you know. Which is the most expensive for any gambling company and for any bank? The most expensive is that one that your identity provider doesn't catch. Okay, so this is the most expensive one. There is no specificity. Each one of our systems is having its backdraws, it's having its peaks on certain elements. So my strong advice to everybody will be combine. And this is why the orchestration is very important. Okay, so basically orchestration of things. I will illustrate it with with an example that is coming from the other world, that is coming when you're traveling. Okay, so basically you are traveling, you're giving your passport to the police officer on the border. He is putting the passport, okay, in his system, but what he's doing, actually, he's doing 367 operations probably at the same time, calling the national or international stolen lost travel document databases that we are integrating. He's then calling the API or PNR system. What I know about these passengers from before, then I'm looking to the behavioral things like, okay, this guy's having tickets 3 weeks and he's traveling with one bag and he bought the ticket yesterday in cash. It's a high-risk passenger. Though his document is genuine, though everything on him, he can smell on fantastic perfumes and have most expensive clothes, but he's a risky passenger. So this is exactly what we are trying to do on the dematerialized thing. Is basically combine the signals. In our small company, we call it FIFROD or 360 signals. Lately is where we are picking up everything that we can, combining them, orchestrating them, and taking them out. Apart from this orchestration,
yeah, it is very good that you mentioned this police officer on the border. It actually looks like he's investigating your fingerprint as well as you are doing in web. So he's checking where you've been, which sites have you been visiting before, which device are you using, why are you wearing this extremely like business suit if you are traveling for holiday, and so on. So why are you using the computer to log in?
This is the defense in layers. I mean, it's you have very small amount of time to check the whether it's a passenger, whether it's a client of the gambling company or a banking company, and you have to do the million of operations because, as I'm repeating again, document verification per se as an isolated case is not enough. Biometric without documents is not enough. 360 signals or the outside signals of a biographic biometric data is not enough. The databases by themselves are not enough. One thing is what regulator says, and the other thing is what we see from our fraudsters. The other thing that is frustrating for me and was frustrating in the last 20 years when I was working in the police and when I was working in Interpol, and it's still same today, all of us who are fighting the fraud, we know that we cannot win the battle. We will make their life miserable, but there will always be new ways of fraud that we'll have to catch up. So this is why this is very important, the knowledge that your company is bringing with you.
Yes, and at the same time, we all need to understand that the number of fraud players, fraud customers is extremely low comparing to the number of good players. And when we are trying to avoid fraud, sometimes it affects a lot of people who are not dodgy, who are very proper players, who are giving good money, who wants to play, who wants to get the best service. And this is a big challenge for now in industry. And I think that Roger can help us to understand what should be included in comprehensive onboarding procedure for now, and how it should work for now. How to balance between these, because we have we are at the age between compliance, between product requirements, between our players' needs, and between our risk management. How to manage, how to stay, how to satisfy all of them.
I think if I'd have the ultimate answer to that, everyone would want to speak to me, but which is obviously not the case. But no, I think from that perspective, to be honest, what Lovro was just mentioning, right? I think what you're trying to do is you are trying to build a layer or like an onion of anti-fraud detectors, right? So if you just do this it won't be enough. If you just do this, it won't be enough. So it has to always be a healthy mixture of verification methods, and especially if you look at obviously what is the market, where are you right now in the world, because there is certain obviously countries that are more prone to to fraudulent attacks than there is, as we just talked, because of the data that you have on people, because of how the documents are structured, whether they're an example handwritten paper documents, an example, or whether they're really mature documents with with holograms, with kinograms, etc., where you can detect fraudulent activity. Same with synthetic fraud, or whether that's device fingerprinting. Finding a balance which makes it actually, let's say, good for your good players and really difficult for fraudsters is a challenge that we have had now in the gambling industry since forever, right? I mean, it's so because like Lovro just said, we are catching up to things that people are doing. Of course we can start and try predicting things and try do fraudulent things ourselves to play systems, but there's so many people in the world, they're going to find some other ways that you haven't thought about. So it's always a constant conversational stream. It's always a constant, let's say, stream of information that goes forwards and backwards. I think by now we have a very very good relationships with our customers, where we ask them, hey, have you seen anything that's new? Have you seen anything that's kind of coming up? We also inform them if we see anything. And I think also with new methods, like an example, our fee fraud project, which is kind of a never seen project before, that that kind of has been done in in document verification. I think those things just add kind of to that layer, and then it's just really about addressing each and every market, because there isn't a solution like one for all. So let's say the solution that works in Germany is definitely not going to work in the UK, is definitely not going to work in Brazil, is definitely not going to work, an example, in Italy, because each and every country has its sweet spots for fraud. They have cultural differences, so you need to really put those things into the solution, because again, people think of a solution, it's like the solution for everything. It's not. There is solutions for problems in each and every region that that there is. There is so many different things that you have to keep in mind when you talk about Brazil. There is so many things that you have to keep in mind when you talk about the UK or Germany, etc. And you have to put that all into your basket, and then you have to build the solution. So it's not enough to just say, hey, I've built a fantastic solution for the market in Ontario, and I'm just going to reuse that in wherever else. It's definitely not going to work. Everything everything is really influenced by the people that are there, by the technology that is there, by the documents that are there, by the data checkpoints that you have there. And because there is a lot of countries that have really good databases. I mean, one of them is definitely the CPF database in Brazil, where you can do an example also biometric checks. You can check against various other things, and there is so many more other countries that use an example Bank ID or NEM ID, or if it's EID in Germany. So there is a lot of things that are coming up to to prevent fraud, but again, there is no such thing as one solution fits all. It always has to be custom made.
And there is one more thing that is very sorry, Pavel, I forgot, and I want to tell to our audience also that they are responsible partly that a lot of fraud is passing through. One of the things will be we are strongly recommending always the users to use Web SDK, or even better, the mobile SDK. Okay, but most of our users are simply pushing the document to our CIS. So what does it do? You're opening the door to fraudsters and saying, hey, I'm not going to ask you to take a live photo of the document. I'm going to let you upload it. So I'm opening the door and I'm saying, come fraud me, fraud me, fraud me. You cannot expect any of the providers, no matter how good it is, to fight this battle alone. Okay, so basically strongly recommending you to use the mobile cameras, document liveness, NFC, which is the highest assurance that we have today. Okay, NFC chip, highest assurance that we can verify. We are part of the ICAO pilot. We are working with ICAO for a long time. Now we are partners with IATA, also in EID. I'm saying all of this you will relate to airline industry or airports or travel, but actually it's not. It's basically a whole umbrella, everything that is certificate verification, where we verify if the document signer is equivalent of CSCA. I mean, if it is signed with this, and if the certificate that is on the chip is on the certificate revocation list of ICAO. So all of these things, if you can use the mobile SDK and web SDK, you redirect your user, basically tell him, okay, we will send you a link or we'll send you a QR code, and you just take the photo or the video of your document and send it back. You will prevent 70% of the fraud that is passing to you today.
Totally right. We are facing with the same situation in payments, and we always trying to find the different SDK solutions, and sometimes it is very helpful. For now, like open banking is skyrocketing, and it is very to use this SDK which connects to your apps inside the phone, and it is happening like localized environment. Everything happens in this phone, and nothing can affect it from the third party. Yeah, this is amazing. And this NFC, you talked about NFC. Do I understood you correctly that you're talking about these chips which are in passports now?
Chip that is in the ID, in some ID cards or in the passport. So basically, you will take a photo. What you do, the CAN or the MRZ will open the chip. I mean, open the communication between the chip and the reader. You will put your passport on a mobile phone. We will read the chip, and then in the ICAO databases or the national databases, we will verify that certificate is okay, that document is actually not modified, and that is signed by the certified or authorized issuing authority that should certify the content of the chip.
Yeah,
apart from that,
and
biography and biometric data for automated filling of whatever you want to fill, the highest and the best is coming from the chip itself.
Yes, amazing.
Because there is no error. There is no error.
And so online operator for now can implement and integrate the solution which allows him to just to work with NFC device of the passport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to show everyone, let's say, the difference in that thing. I would say, you can probably in the darknet acquire a good looking driving license from some or another country for probably like 50-60 euros by now. But how much would it cost to get a good document with a swapped out NFC chip? Probably around like 5,000.
I'm 20 years in the business. I never saw it except in a laboratory. It's possible, but I never saw it live.
So it would be very expensive. Let's just put it that way in order to do it.
Yeah. Because
especially massively. Because if one fraudster passes, one passed. Okay, but if they start to pass massively, that's the problem. And we have the tools and we have the means to correctly verify the documents and the identities subsequently from that derived from the identity.
Because totally right. Because for now we are facing with some old school operators. They are still seeking for the photo of like bills for a house. They are seeking for proof of you living somewhere, just to send the photo of your grandma in front of your door, a photo of your dog.
That was Roger. What was saying. This is the thing that we have to adapt to each and every market. Each one is different. Okay. Yeah. For me in Brazil, I will ask the CPF. He will give me the address. I mean, I will ask Serpro, give me the address of that guy that has the CPF. But in France, I will have to make a photo of a document and then give the EDF bill. Very similar is in Spain.
Yeah. As I'm living in GCC country, and we do not even have such things as I would say zip code postcode or any other of them. And sometimes we are refused from some services in Europe just because local operators, they do not know anything about these countries. They do not understand the nature of the business they do not understand how this structured in the government, how they are holding everything. We don't even have the addresses. Everything is called the tower. I live like in one tower.
And that's exactly why I said you need a local solution
Yes.
for for every market, because again, let's say Eastern Europe in itself, right? I mean, Eastern Europe in itself, there's huge differences between even like whether that's Poland, whether that's Croatia, or whether that's Serbia, Montenegro, etc. Right? I mean, they all differ in what you have to do in order to to adapt to those markets. And then when you start comparing, sorry, I forgot, obviously one of the biggest there, Romania. But if you then start comparing, those to, I don't know, Western Europe or South America, then you've already lost. You've already lost that battle if you think that this solution will get you where you are in this market. So
there is no black box solution that is
100%. Yes,
that is 100%. So basically, orchestration, all of this has to be, client has to choose. I have to offer the client the service. I'm saying this is the German document. Okay, your device is calling me from Germany, so I suppose that you will fill the German form, or that you will comply with the buffing, or that you will do something like that. So I have to enable or disable the fields that are useful for that market and for that use case. Okay, so I cannot give you the obligatory zip code because in Abu Dhabi there is no zip code.
Yeah, we have these 5 zeros, which we're putting, which we put everywhere in every sign up form. Okay. Looks, I hope that we will have some questions because we have a few minutes left, and if anyone wants, they are free to answer any questions here in the chat, and maybe SBC guys will advise if they have any questions directed to them. Because it was very, very interesting discussion. It was very interesting talk. Thank you, Lovro.
I mean, 1 hour is not enough.
exactly.
So we can blabber until tomorrow, and then I probably forgot 6 or 7 things that are important, or say 3 things that are not important at all for the public that is listening.
Yeah, I mean, as I personally spoke to Lovro, I think 2 hours, and it's probably, I don't know, 2% of the whole story that that you need to kind of educate and obviously teach people, because I would say when we talk about fraud, and this is one of the biggest things, sometimes you see, I think probably the gambling, let's say gambling or gaming is one of the, let's say, only verticals where there is a lot of collaboration between operators, and a lot of communication between operators, between let's say competitors, of course, and it helps the industry, because if there's a data flow, how to prevent fraud, how to get the bad guys out the picture, that's the only way how we as a community, or how we as a vertical can really actively fight those people. Because let's just put it that way, once someone makes it into one operator, they will know how to get into the next and into the next, etc. So it's just all about collaboration, sharing information, and really educating other people, because it's that's all it is. And that's, we also have to think about, of course, we sell certain services, and of course we'd like to have nice sales numbers, etc. But I think also what really counts for us, and with each and every customer that we have, is that you educate them and you let them know what are the best practices, what are the best peelers of the onion you can put on, or what's the next code you have to put on, etc. So and that's really what counts. So collaboration and education is really the only way against fraud. And
there is new stuff coming. I mean, we should not forget about digital identity. I mean, so-called wallets, or whatever you whatever name you wanna attribute to it. We have a digital identity scheme in Europe. We have US documents that are more and more coming to the digital or mobile documents, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Then we have digital travel certificates from ICAO that are also presented in some countries. So everything is moving to the mobile. We will certainly, we are already there because we are part of the working groups and stuff like that. But you have to see in next 2 or 3 years that number of the physical documents will drop down and the number of the digital documents will come up. With this, it will come new ways of fraud that we are not aware of because they don't exist as we speak. Okay, they will come. They don't exist because there is no massive usage of such type of documents, except in few exceptions. So there are. We will have work to do, and we will have to watch carefully the transition from physical to digital, in order to be able to provide the same service and the same protection of the fraud for the clients in next 10 or 15 years.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I live in Dubai, and we have all the documents available in digital. We have all these tokens, and we do not use papers at all. So Emirates,
you will go to kiosk. I mean, you go to kiosk, put the card inside, beep, beep, and it's gone.
So basically, me personally, I learned so much from this conversation, and I can say thank you, SBC, for hosting this webinar, and everyone is welcome to reach SBC, to reach Roger and Lovro directly in LinkedIn, or to reach ID Now, and I think that they will answer through their platforms, through their website or whatever. And I hope to see everyone on one of the conferences. So we have Barcelona is upcoming. We have some other conferences, and I'm pretty sure that we can catch up there, and we can talk more about fraud, about how to fight the fraud, and how to build more and more reliable and nice gambling community. Thank you, gents. Lovro, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, and see you in Barcelona.